You've set a goal. If you don't make it, it's like breaking a promise.
Put your hands together for the heart stomping, booty shaking, earthquake making, history making, legendary Castaways Against Cancer!
Getting to this point is anything but easy. And when these kayakers left just 7 days before this moment, they knew exactly what they were getting into. "7 days, 160 nautical miles, and one goal: to raise enough money to find a cure for cancer." But before paddles hit the water, just about every kayaker feels a blend of hope and fear.
I'm always anxious the first couple hours. It'll pass.
Top of the morning to you. Another paddle here.
Let me show you something if I may.
Another paddle here. Looks like the weather's going to hold on.
I think the weather gods are going to be okay today, so.
The issue is that the forecast has been 90% chance for today, but looks like we're going to take off really nice.
Good. Just try to make sure I didn't forget anything. I'm not very superstitious or ritual based. I just kind of do my thing and just kind of roll with it.
Leading this eclectic crew is team leader and original member Patrick Limforce.
That's 160 miles over 7 days in an effort to help find a cure and to honor those who have fought the fight. Knowing our experience is nowhere near the gauntlet endured by cancer fighters, we strive to honor them through this journey, which is repetitive, challenging, and painful. Getting through takes determination, patience, mental strength, and most importantly, a support team full of encouragement, love, and faith.
Good luck, Castaways.
This 17th annual Odyssey is called the Proof of Life Tour. By kayaking, by fighting, by funding research, and by supporting those who know cancer, together we are putting our collective flag in the ground and declaring, we will paddle and we will live. We will light a candle rather than curse the darkness. We will find a cure. We will honor, remember, and celebrate. We will show that good can come from bad. And this is how we all show the world our proof of life.
The first 2 days of the trip lead the castaways to sunny Key Largo. But before reaching the island, they must deal with some obstacles along the way.
We realized going out about a mile that we lost the rudder cable. The road crew is going to basically drop the gear that we need for tonight by boat at Elliott Key.
One of the most difficult points for the team is making landfall for their annual stop at the Elliott Key campground.
Do we have to talk about Elliott Key? Okay, I'll talk about Elliott Key. Elliott Key is the bane of my existence. The mosquito population is about 100,000 per square foot.
It's the place where raccoons and rats can arm wrestle. It's an awful place.
The long day 2 journey from the Elliott Key campground to Blackwater Sound, Key Largo definitely isn't a favorite amongst the castaways.
Day 2 is the day that my body says, oh, you're doing this again.
But you have to do a total disconnect. If you look at the clock, you're not going to make it. It's the same motion over and over and over again, from sun up to sundown.
The second leg of the second day is what many consider the hardest part of the trip. 16 miles through Bard Sound to Key Largo.
The tough thing about it is that you have maybe 12 miles plus. It's almost like an illusion. They don't seem to end. You seem that you're not moving. And again, the mental challenge here is the most difficult part of the trip.
Hi, John. Hi, guys. Hi, Dad.
After going through many day 2s, day 2 is the longest day of the trip. It's 30 miles. We were on the water for 12 hours today.
After laying down their paddles for the first time in 12 hours, the castaways look forward to their first restful night on the trip and prepare for whatever the next day may bring. With yet another long day ahead of them, the castaways are starting to feel the aches and pains of their journey.
Shoulders are hurting. It's hard to believe that, that you can hurt steel, but this is where I'm hurting today.
Shortly after their departure, the castaways make a quick stop to meet some longtime supporters.
And there's only a handful of supporters that have been with us since the very beginning, and Frank and Monica are two of them. They're just good people, and we appreciate their support.
I've known Steve for a long time. We used to do races together, like we would actually paddle together when we did the Indian Key race.
Just 20 minutes after their departure, the castaways are met with yet another setback, with something as seemingly simple as a loose screw. Luckily, Frank isn't too far behind.
With the rudder is a foot-controlled steering mechanism on the back of the boat, and it's controlled by cables, and it goes to a foot pedal, and if the cables give out, you can't use it.
With boats repaired and spirits high, the traditions of day 3 continue when the castaways paddle through the iconic Toilet Seat Pass.
And Toilet Seat Pass is it's a channel that we go through on day 3, and on each side of the channel people have put posts with toilet seats on them. So the castaways, when they found Toilet Seat Pass, they actually made their own toilet seat.
We park our boats behind it. It's not the best stop because it's mucky. There's fire coral, but we get there, we have a drink. We usually baptize people. We give them their castaway names, and there's a whole little ceremony that goes around with it.
Ladies and gentlemen, baptize our three!
But even with only 20 feet left in the day's journey, the obstacles still haven't ended.
Hey, T-Rescue, go get him, that's your boy.
Why does everything go to hell when the cameras are here?
A T-Rescue is an open water maneuver used to help a capsized kayaker get back in his boat. It isn't usually done 20 feet from the dock, but the castaways believe that if you started in a kayak, you should end in one.
Good stuff.
From broken rudders to capsized kayaks, the trip so far has been just as challenging as it has been rewarding, and the castaways are more than relieved to have reached a milestone, the halfway point in their journey. But the team is nowhere near done showing their proof of life. By the 4th day of the journey, the castaways know to expect challenges, but even some veteran kayakers can run into trouble.
In my particular boat, which I maintain better than my car, which is not saying a lot of times, but I had the housing for the rudder assembly sheared off the side of the boat. And when you have heavy waves, it's nice to have a rudder. That was really unexpected. I don't dwell on it. We get it fixed, we move on. Because you can't dwell on it. We got too much going on.
During this unexpected downtime, the castaways have a moment to reminisce on how and why they first started paddling.
When I first began the Castaways Against Cancer, it was actually, we were a relay team for the American Cancer Society. And after doing that once or twice, we thought to ourselves, this isn't tough enough. We were young.
One of his concepts was that it was difficult, it was painful, it was challenging, very much like radiation or chemotherapy would be on a cancer patient.
I had no idea that it would be this big and last this long.
The very first trip in the summer of 2000, when we landed in Key West, the photograph of us landing is me taking a picture of 3 other guys because no one was there. And now to have 50, 75, 100 people at a landing, it's absolutely humbling and a tremendous experience. And it makes you feel like, wow, we really are doing something that's making an impact.
There's nothing better than arriving at day 4 in the loving arms of friends and family, like our friends, the Horvats, at the Gulfview Waterfront Resort.
Always the same thing ever since I've started. We pull up to the dock, it's the 2 kids sitting on the cooler, it's the wife and husband, Stephanie and Mike right behind them, arms on their shoulder, and it's just like a little picturesque photo, and they welcome us in like that.
As this day comes to a close, the castaways now move forward into one of the most iconic parts of the trip, the 7 Mile Bridge.
The 7 Mile Bridge for me has always been the one area that I have been worried about. It's the time where we're the furthest from land. It's a long, open paddle where stuff can go wrong and there's nothing there to help you.
The winds go one direction, the currents go another. You got confluences of water, and you get these waves that you have to predict. And if you don't watch them closely and they hit you in a wrong way, you're going to capsize.
Real dangers present themselves when the team encounters yet another rudder failure, this time on Greg the Rain Man trainer's boat. Castaway Eric Pino captured this obstacle on camera.
Oh, we got some serious damage here. This is the rudder right here. The whole housing is right here. This whole piece is supposed to go on the back of the boat, right back here.
After a day full of setbacks, the castaways make their way to Bayonne State Park. With only 36 miles remaining in their journey, the castaways await the last full day on the water before their final landing.
You can start tasting victory, you know, you're almost there. The worst is over, and then you can see the finish line, and then you're afraid you're going to stumble. That's very frustrating.
When we left the beach at Bahia Honda, I was concerned. The wind was coming out of the wrong direction, and it was blowing hard. Waves were slapping the beach, and I was a little concerned. And when we got in the water, it was bumpy. The wind was in our face.
But the tide was coming out very, very quickly. And actually, when we made a turn, we were in incredibly shallow water. So a decision was made that instead of going the long way through the channel, we were going to take a shortcut, which had never been done before, through the mangroves. So I made the decision to get out of the boat in order to lighten it. You know, I weigh 215 pounds, so get off the boat, all of a sudden you're more buoyant.
After the day's first leg, the castaways arrive at Little Palm Island and hope for a smooth journey to their landing. But the weather had other plans.
And you see the storms developing over the horizon, and you're going, oh my gosh, because here's the problem. You got to get in, right? You can't be out there all night.
And the aftermath was hours of non-stop paddling, the longest of the entire journey.
It took us 3 hours to get across the next stretch in the wind, in between these two storms, and that made for a very long day. We were on the water, it turned out, for 12 hours on day 6.
With the worst behind them, the castaways bring the last full day of paddling to a close.
It's just really become much bigger than it ever was, and it's not just 7 or 8 or 12 guys paddling. It's really now almost like a community paddling.
Heavenly Father, on this last day of our Proof of Life tour, we ask that you keep us focused on our mission of helping to find a cure and to honoring those who have fought the fight. Castaways on 3. 1, 2, 3. Castaways!
Put your hands together for the heart stomping, booty shaking, earthquake making, history making, legendary Castaways Against Cancer!
Man, I feel so good. I feel good.
It's an honor to be a part of the Castaways and to be somebody that's been able to paddle every trip. So 17 years of paddling with OB and with this team has been one of the great joys of my life.
I think this year I sat in my kayak for another minute because you get there and you're kind of like, there's finality in the moment. There's that you hear as your boat pulls in, and that's the end. That's always a good feeling.
Tonight we will have our closing ceremony and really laser in on why we do this. We'll be laying flowers at the water at sunset, and we will have with us the names of the people we paddle for.
Life is short. Do good things.
So tonight when we lay those flowers, not only will we be honoring the people that supported us this year and their loved ones, but the people going back 16 years. All those names will be with us tonight.
The pain is over. No, it's literally, you know it's over. The 7 days really are tough. You know, I think a lot of people see this as an adventure. So in a way, you're glad that you've achieved it, but you're also glad that for the moment, it's over. But we'll be back in 365 days.
I did think about the first time I got there. Yeah, I did. We've come a long, long way. It's really great to have that crowd out there. It's a fantastic feeling. You feel very, very, very rewarding, you know. It just lifts your spirits beyond a measure.
Walked off the pain and we kept reaching higher. You were with
turning back.